Seems like the land down under is underwater. G'day guys, Matt from Hal Heavy Duty. We are the machine shop for DEPCO Drilling up in Rockhampton. And guys, it has been a wild week. Good news and bad news. First, I'll start with the bad. Our state is more or less underwater, especially up north and west. So fortunately here in the yard, we're just copping rain. It's been pretty consistent and pretty heavy, but we're not flooded out. Fingers crossed. What actually happens in our town is all of that water from out west hits us 2 or 3 weeks later. So we're all sort of, we're a little bit nervous, but so far so good. That said, all but 2 of our drill crews are rained out, so it's been pretty freaking wet in the entire state. I was actually at the pub yesterday and met a bloke from Townsville. They've had 1.2 meters. That's like over 3 feet of water. So, you know, my thoughts go out to all the people who've been affected by the floods in Queensland. Like, the land down under is fairly well underwater, especially in this state. That's the bad news. But look, in our little line of work, we know that about every 10 years it's going to flood. And this time of the year, from January to March, it's just really difficult to get anything done because you've got summer storms coming in. Good news. Despite all of that, and I think you guys, if you've been with the channel for a little while, you will know that I've been trying so hard to get out to see the big rig. This is the monster drill rig, the largest in our fleet, that is going to be powering our 3-meter mega drill. I've been trying to get out to site to see this bad boy for 8 weeks now. I think it's 8 weeks, at least 6. Anyway, on the weekend, they're different codes. Code orange means you can maybe go to work. Code red is tools down, forget it. Every time I've tried to go out, it's been code red. But on the weekend, on Sunday, I got the green light. We've got a code orange, get out here. So packed up the car, Murray wasn't allowed to come, and I headed out to site. Guys, I've got all the footage from it. It is unreal, and I'm going to now be editing that and putting it together for you. For the very next video is going to be the big rig video. I only just got back from site. I've got heaps of stuff that they've already broken that needs to be repaired, and the chips coming off this thing are out of this world. So this is the pilot hole chip, right? You may have seen that in a previous video, but that ain't a chip. That's a chip. That is coming off the big auger. That is concrete. Like, this thing is wild. It is definitely worth the wait. I think someone ribbed me in the comments last week, like, you said 3 weeks ago that you'd have the big rig video up. Do better. I had a laugh. I'm like, you know what? Fair call, buddy. I can't control the weather though. That's been the #1 thing that's been limiting it. So we are not far away. So yeah, that's some pretty wild stuff. You can actually see that is where the auger teeth are driving through. So it's a 10-foot auger. It's pretty wild, all off the back of a truck. So the other thing that happened is, this is pretty cool. Came back, like literally pulled up in the shop and come to my little stool here, and there's a box for me on there. I thought, oh, okay. Package to Matt from Hal Heavy Duty, addressed a whole lot. First time anybody has sent us mail unannounced from overseas, so big shout out to Keith. Mate, that is the coolest thing ever. Have a look at this, guys. We got sent maple syrup. Mate, I gotta say, huge thanks. And these little sweet sugary candies too, which they're a bit sweet for my liking, but you put them in some warm water and you get maple syrup. So it's bloody awesome. Now, Keith, you couldn't have known this, but every Friday here for the last 50 plus years has been Pancake Friday, because Hal was Canadian and he loved his pancakes. So it's pancakes, bacon, syrup, and often eggs. and today is Friday. So mate, that's gonna get used. The whole team was just so excited. It's been passed around like you'll never believe what we got sent. Thank you, it's really, really sweet, quite literally. But we're gonna be sending you out a little bit of gear. I don't have any Howell heavy duty promo gear yet. This is sort of taken off faster than I ever expected, but I do have some really fun DEPCO stuff. These guys make the wildest merch. Anyway, I'll send that out to you, mate. Appreciate you. Thanks a million. Now let's get into it. So what has actually been going on in the shop whilst I've been away is we are fixing up and modifying what's called a bowl. Now, these bowls are used to grab and centralise rods on the large diameter rigs. And we had to actually modify one using the Hulk, which is our 11-ton Megabore this week. And let's get in and have a look at how we do that. Murray's gonna get jealous, Vader. Murray, you're just the chunky boy. Chunky boy, Murray. Oh, mate.
Yeah. Sorry, I might be petting the wrong dog. Oh.
Murray. Does he still smell?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh. In the big rig video, you're actually going to see how these work. But essentially what it is, this is what we call a bowl, is these slide in. This actually slides into what's called a master bowl. It's cut into two halves on the back of the rig, and then they're called fingers, actually slide in here. They look like big octopus hands, octopus arms, to actually then grab a rod which will pass through here. So this is how we actually grab rods whilst they're being changed on the large diameter rigs. You will see that in the next video. I can't really show it to you now, but that's what this is for. Now the guys have already done the work on it, and you can see how they've had to polish this manually after machining. What had happened is the longest bar that we have for the Hulk, that's like easily usable, he actually stole it off the CNC. That's my old friend Battle Kong. Now, the problem was it wasn't quite long enough. So what we've ended up having to do, we tried it, but it vibrated a little bit and created some corrugation. So they've then gone and modified Tiny, which is the largest boring bar in the shop. So you're gonna see us do that. We had to turn down the outside and then recreate all of the inside, including this profile here had to be machined by hand. So you're gonna see Heath do that. The guys did a great job on this in my absence and caught it on film for us. Let's go check it out. So the outside finish came up beautifully. Heath did a magic job on this. The challenge that we have is the inside was a bit corrugated, mostly because of the length of it and Battlecong not being quite rigid enough, because it's also an interrupted cut, so it's going to want to bounce around a little bit. To fix this, we're going to do one final pass, but first we've got to modify Tiny. Tiny is the largest boring bar in the shop. It's just under a metre long, weighs about 150 odd pounds, but you can see there in whiteout pen, which we use in the shop constantly, we are going to further mill out so that we can grab it closer. This was designed to do really big long work, but we're going to make Tiny more useful. We're also going to fix this disgusting abomination that was the coolant setup. It's my worst idea ever. If I could have recreated Tiny, I'll show you, I'll link the video so you can see how we made it. But if I'd recreated this, I would have just spent the time and drilled the bloody thing out to begin with. Lesson learned. Anyway, let's get in and fix Tiny. Before we get in and really hog it out, this is our bed mill we call Godzilla. It's a Quantum FBV5, and we just got it because it's super rigid. It's not a CNC, it's just got a digital readout. Despite being less than a year old, this is the crappy DRO that it came with. Not real happy with that. It's pretty old school, but you know what? It works. And the good thing about this is it's insanely rigid, and we can just, with this little low pitch cutter, so that's a 50mm cutter with 3 teeth, we can absolutely honk out cuts. So we'll do 8 to 10mm depth of cut on these and just plow out the material. So let's get into it. Just a quick test fit in the tool post because we want Tiny to be pretty snug. You can see there where we had milled out the abomination that existed there, which was Matt's worst idea of 2024. Fits beautifully, slides neatly within the tool post, and now it's a super useful bar. We've just got to weld in a piece of flat bar there to seal up the coolant area, which is a much smarter idea than the dumb one that I had before that. And that will seal him up neatly, and then we'll have plumbed through coolant into our big bar Tiny. Big boy. Just going to give Tiny a little bit of preheat to take the chill out of the steel. Now, I'm not a qualified boilermaker. I spent 2.5 years over with the welders. It's not the profession for me. As a redhead, I get third-degree burns reflectively from the moon. So the guys are all flat out over in the boiler bay working on the mega drill. So I'm going to weld this up, no dramas at all. I can do like reasonable welding, but there's way better welders than me out there, but we get the job done. And the reason why I'm welding it like this is simply to try and disperse the heat around a little bit more evenly. I have not got the welder turned up very high, just enough so that it can seal. This is not a structural weld of any sort. It's just enough to seal up the cavity underneath so that we can put coolant through it without it leaking. Old Tiny's probably going to end up being a Ron Boswell. For those that aren't Australian, my favourite politician in Australia of all time, it's the only thing I've ever stolen in my whole life, was actually a political sign from this guy. His name was Ron Boswell. So his political sign was, "It ain't pretty, but he's pretty effective." So Tiny might end up being like that. But I'm going to give it a little tickle up clean, just because often when we do welding in here, we don't then go and grind afterwards, but I just wanted to see if I can make him look pretty, so let's do that. Otherwise, it's going to be a Ron Boswell. Now that that's done, I'm just going to throw a little bit of heat back into Tiny, wrap him in some fiberglass and let him cool nice and slowly, and then we'll check out the finished product. Look at that. Bloody lovely. More marks from fucking being dropped. Plumbed in. Good to go. Good to go. Big old Tiny. What's he come in at? From the head. Get hold of the head there. 880, which is just a shade under 3 feet long. I reckon he weighs every bit of 100, probably 150 pounds. Got to be 65, 70 kilos and looking heavy. Now the other thing they're doing in the yard is they've built this little contraption to screw into the back of the mega drill so that we can plumb in 4 big compressors and pressure test this bad boy. So that is happening right now and it's passed. So I just thought you'd like to see that. It's a bloody wild contraption. That thing's 1 foot in diameter, so it's not small. Great. Got enough compressors? The footage you can see here was actually the first test with 1 compressor. I didn't actually get to catch the 4, but you get a good feel for it anyway. It's pretty cool. Who's a good boy, Vader? You be nice, Penny. Oh, what's going on, buddy? Well, that's what we've been up to this week, guys. And look, my main goal with this channel was to give you a weekly window into our world, to what just goes on in a real live machine shop for a drilling company. So we just hit 40,000 subscribers, and guys, I'm so grateful to you all, to everyone who, you know, likes, comments on, shares this video. Like, I can't thank you enough. And to all of our new subscribers, let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. I just love to know. I think we're in about 60 countries now, which is just, it's just wild. I say it, we're a little machine shop in the middle of nowhere, but we're doing some big stuff that they drag in the door for me. And I try to be as honest and just authentic as I can as to what we're doing. Like, I'm not the greatest machinist on the planet, but they keep dragging me in lots of stuff that's really challenging, so I have to learn fast. And I find the comments really helpful for me as well, and it's just nice that I get to share what we're doing with people who share my interests. So it's been great. So 40,000 subscribers, it's just wild. But that's it for this week, guys. It's Pancake Friday, so I'm headed off for that now. Keith, you're a legend again. Thanks, mate. Guys, I'll see you in the comments, and I will see you on the next one for the big rig video. I cannot wait to share this with you guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Smell bacon. Oh, I thought there was no pancakes for a second.
So it must have been a doozy.
Oh, that's pretty good. What's the verdict, Dad?
Pretty good. Excellent.
Pretty good. Thanks, Keith. Fucking delicious.
Best pancakes we've had yet.
Hear that, Jay? Best pancakes you've done yet.
When you get a good syrup, makes a difference.
Good syrup makes a difference. Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Want some pancake with your butter?
I like a little bit of butter with my pancakes.
That's how you lived to be 85 kids.
A little bit of pancake with my butter.